Welcome to the Sweat Simple podcast. I'm Brooks, and I'm an online fitness, nutrition, and mindset coach who's here to help you learn how to eat and exercise for real life, not just those perfect moments. Because let's be real, there is a lot of conflicting information online, and it can be hard to know what's legit and who to trust. In every episode, I'll be sharing the science and psychology behind health, fitness, and long-lasting behavior change, but I'll also be sharing practical, real-life application because all of the best info in the world only matters if you can apply it to your real life. So grab a coffee, water, glass of wine, or lace up your walking shoes, and let's dive in. Hello, you guys. Welcome back to the Sweat Simple podcast. Before we dive into this episode, I wanted to let you know that Fat Loss Forever, my free week-long challenge, is back. But I am extra excited because this time it is better than ever. This is my free week-long challenge that gets you out of the starting over every Monday cycle. At this point, you guys have all the info you need to be successful. What you're missing is the actual follow through. So in just 1 week, you'll understand why you keep doing the things, but still feel stuck with fat loss, the reason that weekends and stress keep throwing you off track and how to fix it. And most importantly, how to close the gap between knowing what to do and actually doing it. The reason this round is so special is because we are celebrating the 5-year anniversary of Sweat Simple coaching. So it is going to be bigger than ever. This time around, it is taking place in my private one-on-one coaching app. You're getting access to a few resources that typically only my one-on-one clients get, a week of workouts, 2 live interactive workshops to fix your follow through. I mean, this round is going to be off the charts, and we already have so many women in here excited to get started. So if you have been looking for a fat loss reset this year, this is it. We start on March 16th. So head to the show notes, get started. I can't wait to help you guys follow through this year. Now, on to the episode. So a little bit of housekeeping before we dive in. I am officially in maternity leave prep mode, whatever maternity leave can really mean for an entrepreneur. So because of that, this podcast is going to be moving to every other week instead of every other week. I want you guys to be supported while I'm gone, which means that I am prepping some content in advance. But at the end of the day, guys, I am just a girl. It is just me back here. And truly, I can only handle so much when it comes to giving out free content. Supporting my clients is always like number one on my priority list. That is always the thing that comes first. So between, creating content for Instagram, creating this content, creating email content, all of the other back end stuff that goes into running a business, I have to choose my battles and start scaling back somewhere so that you guys are still getting some support while I'm gone on maternity leave. But at the same time, I, am not stretching myself way too thin before that. So we are decreasing the frequency of this podcast, honestly, for the foreseeable future. But I still am so supportive and grateful of you guys for being here, for listening every other week. It truly means so much to me. I know that this podcast helps you to think about things in a more nuanced way. So I am so grateful that you're still here, still listening. Today, though, we are talking all about what I would do if I had to fix your consistency in 1 week. When I was back in my yo-yo dieting phase before I was a coach, I felt so stuck. Every single Sunday, I was laying out the same plan, saying, okay, this is the week that I am going to be consistent. But the second that one thing popped up that threw me off course, I gave up. Every single Sunday, I would then be back in the same place, setting the same plan, saying that this is the week I was going to be consistent. And every Wednesday, every Thursday, I was somehow falling off track again. And I bet a lot of you can relate to this Sunday night cycle. And this is why we're stuck. So many women who are listening to this podcast, so many of my clients, this is me, we're type A perfectionists. We constantly think that life is going to fall into place as long as we work hard enough. We think that if we just plan and try to perfectly control every aspect of life, everything is going to fall into place. And if we can just plan enough, if we can just like plan for these things, then we're going to make it happen. We're going to grit through. We're going to somehow figure it out. We're going to make it happen. And as a result, we only ever plan for best case scenario. I get it. This is what I used to do. I used to just think that if I could just plan and just willpower and grit my way through, I would finally figure it out. Eventually, one week, it would just all click. I would have this perfect week like I've been hoping for, and this would all feel easy. I want you to ask yourself, though, if you keep falling off week after week, or if these things keep popping up, you keep having to run your kids somewhere extra, you keep getting invited to happy hour, you keep forgetting to defrost your chicken, whatever it is, like these things pop up week to week. Work gets really busy. If these things are always popping up, why are you still only planning for best case scenario? And this is actually why I created Fat Loss Forever, because over the week, we're going to be walking you through how to not only plan for this best case scenario, but also what to do when we can't be perfect and how to keep that in mind, even from the beginning. Because what we're falling into is something known as planning fallacy. This is a natural bias that we tend to have as humans. We all have these biases where it is our brain's way of trying to simplify things. We really want to see things as black and white. Our brains are always trying to conserve a lot of energy. And in order to do that, we tend to fall into some all or nothing thinking. And this planning fallacy is really just a version of all or nothing thinking. We are really when we look at our week every single week and we are planning ahead, we tend to be overconfident in our ability to follow through. And we tend to really underestimate any of these hurdles, any of these barriers, even if they popped up before. So this is why week after week, you are only focusing on doing these things perfect. This is why you keep starting every Sunday saying, okay, this is the week that it all clicks into place. This is the week I'm just going to hit your calories. And even though you haven't hit your calories every single day for the last 2 weeks, maybe 2 months, maybe a lot longer than that, for some reason, because of this planning fallacy, we still think that this is the week that we're just going to somehow make it happen. But I created Fat Loss Forever because that is not real life. And until we can get over this fallacy and until we can overcome it with one of the strategies I'm going to be teaching you, we're going to stay stuck because we can't keep being overconfident. We need to start planning for real life. That is how we build real consistency, not by just hoping that we will be perfect, by being overconfident, by trying to fall into this classic type A perfection, but truly by getting realistic. And this is actually where I see most other advice around this falling short, because most other advice for consistency and follow through is still built around creating a quote unquote better plan. They just tell you to be more realistic with your plan. So, if you're someone who every single week keeps saying, I'm going to get 6 workouts in, I'm just going to make it happen, most health and fitness advice would tell you, well, don't plan for 6 workouts if you're never getting 6 workouts in, only plan for 3. That's all fine and dandy, but when we create these realistic plans, there's still a lot that we're not considering, because at the end of the day, all we're still doing is planning. We're still only planning. And what we're not considering when we just, try to reduce the overall goal and we just try to reduce what we're planning for, we're still not thinking about those in the moment moments. We're still not thinking about when we want some chocolate because we're just feeling stressed. We're not thinking about when we want to go through the drive-thru at the end of a long day. We're not thinking about when we end up getting sick. A lot of these are things that we can't necessarily predict, so we can't plan for them. We can't say, I'm going to hit my calories every single day. And then typical advice would be like, okay, let's just make this realistic. So you might say, okay, well, I'm going to hit my calories 4 days then. Okay, awesome. But why are we not hitting our calories in the first place? If we still need to be consistent 4 days, what is happening on most of these days where we're not hitting our calories that's making it really hard? So what are we doing when we feel stressed? What are we doing when we want to go through the drive-through? We can't just keep planning to death. We can't just keep planning for best case scenario and then try to plan for realistic scenario. At some point, we need to learn how to follow through. That is what I'm going to be teaching you in Fat Loss Forever. If I needed to fix your consistency in 1 week, this right here, this is where I would start. Not just with planning, not just by continuing to fall into this planning fallacy, but by focusing on the action piece. So some things that I want you to start thinking about, some things I want you to start noodling on is, how will you follow through when you're stressed and want to turn to chocolate? What does that look like in the moment? What does follow through look like when your friends invite you to happy hour? What does follow through look like when you do end up getting sick? A big part of consistency and follow through, it's not just about planning better. It's about the deeper mindset work and the behavior change strategies that allow you to keep taking action in these moments. So we need to be thinking about things like removing your all or nothing thinking, developing that cognitive flexibility, strategies like mental contrasting, learning how to put in imperfect reps. And if you're sitting here listening saying, okay, I don't know what those things are, or I wouldn't know how to use those things in these moments, this is what we'll be breaking down in Fat Loss Forever. So if you want to learn how to follow through, make sure you are grabbing your free seat in my bio, so that this is the week that we are not just planning to death, but truly this is the week where we start to learn how to follow through. So that is all I've got for you guys. Don't forget, you can join Fat Loss Forever at the link in my show notes. Make sure you are joining before March 16th. That's when this is all going down. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks for showing up, and I will talk to you all in a couple weeks.